Once considered a top tier exotic, the Warlock exotic chest piece, the Heart of the Praxic Fire, was actually introduced at the launch of Destiny, but was rarely seen since Xur didn't know how to remove the Sunbreakers from his inventory. Being Sunsinger specific, the Praxic Fire has had a few minor changes to its exotic and interchangeable perks, but has steadily dropped in popularity as other Sunsinger exotics rose to power. Both the Starfire Protocol and the Sunbreakers are far stronger now compared to how they were handled at launch, while the Praxic Fire pretty much handles the same. So what changed with the Praxic Fire? And what made it so strong to begin with? Well, let's look at the perks and you guessed it, optimize a build. So the Praxic Fire can have any primary or special weapon ammo increase perk, which is fine, but it's completely inferior to the increased special and heavy ammo node, featured on other Warlock exotics, but most specifically on the Praxic Fire's main competitor, the Starfire Protocol. This isn't a make or break this exotic kind of perk, but it just hinders its performance a little bit. With options like these, I usually settle for sniper rifle ammo. The reduced incoming damage perk is completely optional, but the increased armor with a solar subclass is fixed, which is probably what I'd choose in most environments anyway. The exotic perk further reduces all ability cooldowns while Radiance is active, and you greatly increase your agility. The agility aspect of this exotic is the relatively new feature, but it honestly doesn't hold much importance. So what does this mean? The Praxic Fire essentially turns your Radiance up to 11, by increasing your ability's cooldown even faster, despite Radiance already making it cooldown quickly. This sounds amazing, and it would be except for one small caveat. You can only hold a maximum of 2 grenades at a time, and there is a limit as to how fast you can throw your grenades. If there was no limit, and you maxed out your discipline stat, you could almost throw grenades as fast as you could hit the trigger, but the internal cooldown prevents this. Don't get me wrong, you can still throw grenades far more quickly with a Sunsinger than with other classes, but the excessive grenade cooldown almost feels wasted if you can't use it as fast as you'd want to. Am I saying the Praxic Fire is too powerful? Yes and no. It's too powerful for its own good, and it won't let you really maximize its potential with a full discipline build. Before I move on to stats, skill trees and its uses, I'll mention here that the best build for a DPS Sunsinger is going to be a tier 5 discipline build with Touch of Flame, Viking Funeral and 2 fusion grenades thanks to Starfire Protocol. The grenade cooldown rate is well balanced with the internal throwing cooldown, which means you'll be minimizing downtime and wasting little of your super. Praxic Fire at tier 5 discipline is impractical given it's cooling grenades down faster than you can throw them. And since you can't spec for 2 fusion grenades and the Touch of Flame build, any boss DPS build with Sunsinger grenades should be with the Starfire Protocol. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, let's get back to the Praxic Fire and see why it's still good. People tend to forget that Radiance cools down both your grenade and melee, so if we were to max out a melee build with a Sunsinger, what would we get? Flame Shield is obviously good, but to get the most out of this build, look no further than Brimstone and Sunburst, which I believe is the best perks to use with the Praxic Fire. Just before I get into why they're the best perks, try a build with a 255 stack configuration, but I'll be honest, getting this with the Praxic Fire was particularly difficult for me, since the Praxic Fire can only have intellect and discipline as its main stats. So try for a 255, but a 345 or even a 155, but make sure your strength is maxed. Alright, why is Brimstone and Sunburst the best perks to use with the Praxic Fire? Any kill you get with the charged melee attack will create an Orb of Light for your team, and enemies that are killed by the Brimstone explosion will also create orbs. Brimstone provides a much faster cooldown to your melee attack than Flame Shield, and particularly with the right modifiers, the Sunburst build can be incredibly fun to mess around with in strikes or raids, and turning entire packs of enemies into orbs with a single punch. Since we are using Praxic Fire, go for Song of Flame since it will cool down your teammates' abilities quicker too, and you will become an excellent support player. Probably the most ideal place to use this build would be in strikes with any of the Solar Burn, Airborne or Brawler modifiers on, or any combination of those modifiers will make it even better. Parts of raids have some utility, but honestly, this build is more inclined towards fun than anything else. If you're fighting thralls, then yes, the Brimstone build will work great, but without the right modifiers, the build isn't really going to carry you through any content. In Crucible, you can definitely use this to create orbs from killing guardians, which can be quite amusing when you see someone explode into a ball of solar light, but again it hinges more on fun than practical. If you do like to play aggressively with your Sunsinger and go for one-punch melee kills while in Radiance, then this build will work alright for you too. But Flame Shield is really hard to pass up in that environment. So to wrap it up, for a grenade-centric build, go with Starfire Protocol and Tier 5 Discipline. For a melee-centric build, Praxic Fire and Tier 5 Strength, with Sunburst and Brimstone. I made a tutorial video a while back going over the Sunburst and Brimstone build, so I'll link it in the description below if anyone's interested to learn more. Thanks for watching guys.